Let me start by conveying my deepest condolences to the families and friends of the train accident in Spain. Our thoughts are with them. Honourable members, since I stood last time here in this plenary, we have witnessed events that have shaken the world. From the nationwide protests and repression across Iran to the seizing of shadow fleet tankers in the North Atlantic, from the volatile situation around the Arctic and Greenland to the relentless bombing against Ukrainian civilians and infrastructure, from the tensions in the Middle East to the Indo-Pacific, all of this reflects a number of realities for Europe. The first is a confirmation that the shift in the international order is not only seismic, but it is permanent. And the sheer speed of change far outstrips anything we have seen in decades. We now live in a world defined by raw power, whether economic or military, technological or geopolitical. And while many of us may not like it, we must deal with the world as it is now. Which brings me to the second reality and imperative for Europe, and that is to speed up our push for independence. Whether in our economy or in our security, whether on technology or democracy, we have to be strong in shaping ourselves if we don't want to shape the world around us. In this increasingly lawless world, Europe needs its own levers of power. And we know them. A strong economy, a thriving single market, one that can do business in different markets and can compete all around the world, a strong innovation and technology capacity, united societies with high levels of education, talent and health systems, and above all, a real capacity to defend ourselves. This is what European independence is all about. It is not about anyone else. It is not driven by the recent event. It is about a need and an opportunity for us to build a stronger union. We are already moving in this direction, but the speed of change requires a new approach from Europe. We will need a departure from Europe's traditional caution, just like we did on energy, on recovering from the pandemic with Next Generation EU, or like we are doing now with defence, with SAFE, or on supporting Ukraine. The world is changing faster, so does our mindset. So our institutions, governments and society, all of us, must transform the ways in which we think and act. And allow me to touch on a number of points which I believe will be critical. It starts with security, and in particular the situation in the Arctic. Greenland is not just a territory in a key region of the world map and a land rich in critical raw materials, a strategic outpost on emerging global sea routes. It's all of these things. But above all, Greenland is home to a free and sovereign people. It is a nation with its sovereignty and its right to territorial integrity, and the future of Greenland is only for the Greenlanders to decide. Honourable members, we do agree with our American friends on the need to ensure the security of the Arctic region. And on this we are not only aligned, but we are working together, notably in the context of NATO. Finland, for example, is working with the United States on icebreakers, a key piece of equipment in the context of operations in the High North. Or take the recent Danish-led Arctic Light exercise a few months ago in the context of NATO. This was key to strengthening Allied readiness in the Arctic. So we are aligned, we are working together, we share the same strategic assessment on Arctic security, and this is why the threat of additional tariffs for security reasons is simply wrong. If we are now plunging into a dangerous downward spiral between allies, this would only embolden the very adversaries we are both so committed to keeping out of the strategic landscape. Later this week, leaders will meet to discuss our response at the European Council. We are at a crossroads. Europe prefers dialogue and solutions, but we are fully prepared to act, if necessary, with unity, urgency and determination. But beyond this, we need our own strategic approach. This is why we're working on a package to support Arctic security. The first pillar will be a massive European investment surge in Greenland, in particular to further support the local economy and infrastructure. This will build on what we have already done. 2 years ago, before this all happened, I was in Nuuk to open our first office there. And in the next European budget, we have already proposed to double our financial support to Greenland, but of course we must do more and do it faster. Second point, we will work with the United States and all partners on wider Arctic security. In particular, I believe we should use our defence spending surge on Arctic-ready equipment and strengthen our security arrangement with partners such as the UK, Canada, Norway, Iceland and others. Finally, I believe Europe itself needs to reassess its wider security strategy. This should look at what is needed to adjust to today's new realities. Many of you have worked on various national and European security strategies, some of them in the recent past, but the world has changed so fast and Europe now has to change with it. Honourable members, when it comes to security, it is more important than ever that we keep focusing on Ukraine, because our European security and our European independence hinges on what happens next. It is now almost 4 years since Russian tanks rolled into Ukraine. Peace talks are now ongoing, and we are recognizing the efforts the US is doing in this region. But while these efforts intensify, so does Russia's attacks. So Europe will continue to support Ukraine in every way, and this is why it was so important that in the last European Council we agreed to jointly raise 90 billion euros for Ukraine. Europe has taken clear responsibility for Ukraine's need, both civilian and military, and this 90 billion euros shows our unfaltering commitment and solidarity, and we will stand with Ukraine until there is a just and lasting peace. Honourable members, allow me to briefly turn to our economy and our need to reduce our dependencies here too, because this is intrinsically linked. Trade inside our single market accounts for 55% of our GDP. Trade with the rest of the world is worth roughly 45% of our GDP, 45%. Our supply chains and de-risking goals depend on trade. So trade matters more than ever. I just came back from Paraguay, where we signed a historic deal with Mercosur. Next week, we will be in India for another groundbreaking agreement. And negotiations are advancing with many others who want to do business with us. These deals will open massive opportunities for our businesses. They will create jobs here in Europe. They will give us resilience and security of supply, because the more trading partners we have worldwide, the more independent we are. And that is exactly what we need. If we take Mercosur, which I know is hotly debated in this House, the deal secures our access to raw materials our industry needs. And the benefits for European companies will be huge. Just take the automotive sector. European exports to Mercosur can rise by 20 billion euros or 200%. Or look at the chemicals or machineries, same effects. The deal with Mercosur will deliver huge gains also for producers of dairy, wine, spirits, oil, and much more. At the same time, we have listened carefully to your concerns and to our farmers, and we have secured strong safeguards for our sensitive agri-food sectors. I believe this is a deal that will bring benefits across our economy and across every member state. So to conclude, honourable members, this moment of global change is fraught with dangers. And Europe must be ready to change even faster, to become more independent for its own future. This will not be easy. It will require difficult decisions. And it will require to frame all of our work in the bigger picture. But I'm deeply convinced that together we can achieve it. Thank you very much, and long live Europe.
Thank you very much, President von der Leyen. And now we will have the first round of political group speakers, starting with the President of the EPP Group, Manfred Weber.